It's November 1581, and Ivan the Terrible has just killed his son in a fit of rage. His face is filled with remorse. Ivan clutches the wound, frantically trying to stop the bleeding, but it's no use. It's too late. It's over. The moment of realization is chilling. The reality sets in with unbearable weight. The room is in complete disarray. The carpet is crumpled, a table has been overturned, and the scepter, the weapon of murder, lies abandoned on the floor. But what happened? Why did he do that? What caused him to get so angry and to act in such a drastic manner? For that, let's rewind a little bit. The third wife of Ivan's son was laying on a bench dressed in underwear. She was pregnant and didn't expect anyone to visit her. However, the Grand Prince of Moscow, Ivan the Terrible, paid her an unexpected visit. She immediately stood up to meet him, but it was already impossible to calm him down. He hit her in the face and then beat her with his staff, punching her so hard that she lost her child the next night. His son Ivan then ran to his father and asked him to not beat his wife, but this only made his father angrier. The prince started hitting his son with his staff, which resulted in a very serious wound in the head. Before that, in anger at his father, the son hotly reproached him in the following words: "You imprisoned my first wife in a convent for no reason. You did the same with my second wife, and now you are beating up the third in order to kill the child she carries in her womb." Having injured his son, the father immediately indulged in deep grief and immediately summoned doctors and Andrei Shilkalov and Nikita Romanovich from Moscow to have everything at hand. On the fifth day, the son died and was transferred to Moscow. Another source written 200 years later adds more details to the event. He put his hand on him. Boris Godunov wanted to come to his aid, but the Tsar inflicted several wounds to him with the point of his scepter and struck the Tsarevich with it on the head. He then fell to the ground, spilling blood. The father's fury disappeared. Paling with fear, trembling, in complete shock, he exclaimed, "I killed my son." And he threw himself down to kiss him, pouring out the blood flowing from a deep wound. He wept, sobbed, called for the doctors. He implored the mercy of God and the forgiveness of his son. Every detail in this painting is deliberate. The dark coat of the Tsar is in stark contrast with the delicate pink robe of the prince. The red color of the carpet intensifies the blood on Ivan's face. One half of the room is cloaked in shadow while the other is bathed in light, splitting the scene between horror and clarity. The blue veins bulging on the Tsar's hand are further indication of his sickness, both mental and physical. Ilya Repin is undeniably one of my favorite painters. His use of the medium is so intentional and unique. I love when you can easily guess the artist behind a painting because of his personal style. And here is where I want to introduce Skillshare, the sponsor of this video. If you want to learn new techniques as an artist and develop your own personal style, you should definitely join the platform. You can learn about digital, oil, watercolor, or acrylic painting. You can also delve into different styles of painting, realistic, abstract, or textured. My favorite class of the moment is acrylic for beginners, painting textured landscapes using a palette knife. With spring and summer, there are so many occasions to view beautiful landscapes and to capture the view in your own painting. I'm a big fan of cherry blossoms. I patiently wait for them every year and they can't seem to last long enough. I would love one day to have my own personal painting of them and decorate my living room with it. Joining a class on Skillshare gives you access to the best teachers who will make your painting dreams a reality. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today! As a viewer of this painting, we feel sorrow for the fate of the son, but more importantly, we are able to empathize with the father. And we would rather not feel empathy for someone so despicable who would kill his own child. And yet, Repin places us in this uncomfortable position. The look of sorrow and remorse on his face confronts us with the humanness of a monster, something we would rather believe not to be true. Can a monster truly feel regret? And if he does, how awful must the feeling be? And what if we were the monster? What if we committed a crime so atrocious that we instantly regret? Repin explores the boundaries of the human experience by conveying this complex human dilemma, and that is part of the reason why I think he's a genius. If we look at his early sketches, we realize that the focal point of this painting was indeed the faces of Ivan and his son. Notice how the lines are more detailed in the center of the painting. In order to properly convey his vision, he had to nail the expressions on the faces of the two characters. The eyes of Ivan, the father, are the most haunting element of this painting. They are wide open and dilated in a state of absolute horror and madness. They are bloodshot, bulging, and fixed in a disturbed, almost crazed stare. We are not witnessing the moment when he strikes his son in pure rage and violence. Instead, we are witnessing the quiet aftermath, the moment when he realizes the gravity of his action through disbelief, guilt, and anguish. At the same time, notice the small tear dropping from the son's eye as though his soul is now saddened with the events that occurred. There's no lingering anger in their embrace. The son gently places a hand on his father's arm, resting his head against his chest like a child seeking the comfort of a parent. The son looks shocked by what happened, but there's a subtle grace in his expression, as though in that moment he has already forgiven his father. Despite the intense emotions of the scene, Repin actually exercises restraint. He could have easily exaggerated the expression to the point of caricature, which would have undermined the emotional weight of the painting. Instead, he strikes a delicate balance, conveying overwhelming grief and horror without tiptoeing into melodrama. Through the eyes alone, Repin draws us into the father's torment. We are witnessing the moral and emotional collapse of a once powerful ruler. He let anger take control over himself, and that cost him his own son, the future of his dynasty, his heir. But why did Repin actually want to paint such a brutal scene? I mean, you don't wake up one day with the intent to paint a father killing his son with scary, accurate precision. Well, Repin did have his own past trauma, it seems like. A few years prior, he was in St. Petersburg during the assassination of Tsar Alexander II. A revolutionary threw a bomb at him and killed himself in the process. Repin also witnessed the execution of the accomplices of the criminal. This is most likely what inspired a lot of political paintings he made not long after, including the painting of Ivan the Terrible. Another source of inspiration was music. The Symphonic Suite of Antar. The second movement of the Symphonic Suite is called Revenge, and Repin mentioned in his memoir that it affected him. In Moscow in 1881, while I was listening to a new piece by Rimsky-Korsakov, Vengeance, the sound wave took possession of me, and I thought that I could not embody the state of the soul I had known under the influence of this music in a painting. I then remembered Tsar Ivan. The assassination of the Tsar, coupled with a poignant musical piece, were the catalyst for the painting of Ivan the Terrible, one of the most psychologically intense paintings of all time. No wonder that this painting almost drove him to the point of madness. I painted in tears, I was tortured, I tormented myself. I corrected again and again what I had painted. I hid it in a sickly disappointment. No longer believing in my strength, I erased what I had painted. I had already erased, and I was attacking the canvas again. Every minute was terrible to me. I was disappointed with this painting. I hid it, and it made the same impression on my friends, but something pushed me towards it, and again I was working on it. It's as if he fully embodied the same state of consciousness as his character. The reception of the painting did not go very smoothly. When Repin first showed the painting to his friends, they were stunned and silent for a long time. The Attorney General of the Holy Synod, the highest authority of the Russian Orthodox Church, was deeply repulsed by the painting, and he shared his discomfort with the Tsar. The Tsar then banned viewings of the painting on April 1st, 1885, and it was the first painting to be censored in the Russian Empire. However, the painting was restored a few months later after the intervention of another painter. But the controversy did not end there. On January 16, 1913, the painting was slashed 3 times by a mentally ill man who felt uneasy about the depiction. Thankfully, Repin restored it to its original form. And even recently, another incident occurred in 2018. A drunken visitor broke the protective glass with a metal bar and pierced the painting in 3 places in the center. Thankfully, it did not reach the most precious part of the painting, which is the 2 faces. According to Russian media, the attacker thought that the depiction was not historically accurate, and that was the reason behind his attack. According to some groups, the painting is anti-Russian because it smears the legacy and memory of Ivan the Terrible. The painting is a challenge to the idea of supreme and absolute authority, serving as a critique of despotism. Ivan the Terrible was the first Tsar and Grand Prince of Russia. Under his rule, Russia actually expanded and became a stronger multinational empire. A nationalist would have every reason to love and admire him, yet Repin is doing the exact opposite. He is painting his own national figure in a negative light, something radically controversial for the era he lived in. By portraying Ivan not as a glorious leader but as a remorseful murderer, Repin undermines the myth of the infallible divine ruler. Clearly, the painting elicits strong emotions. Love it or hate it, but at the end, you won't stay indifferent to it. And maybe that is the point of art, to make you feel something, because otherwise, what's the point? I just hope one day I get to see this masterpiece before someone else attacks it. I just don't know how long this piece of art can remain unharmed. The last point I would like to make is about Ilya Repin's incredible storytelling capabilities. Every brushstroke carries information. Some people would say that his characters are realistic and organic, like a photograph, but I would say that his paintings go beyond the photo. They are more real than a photo. Ilya doesn't paint every detail with photorealistic accuracy. If we zoom into parts of the painting, we notice many broad paint strokes, yet some elements are presented with crystal clear focus, such as the eyes. Of course, Ilya is known for the eyes. He can capture the essence of a character through the eyes alone. The use of broad strokes in other areas help give his paintings a sense of movement, contrasting with the detailed parts to create a dynamic visual experience. We know that he was inspired by Impressionist paintings and he even studied them, but he doesn't let Impressionism take over his entire canvas. He mixes academic technique with Impressionism, which creates such a beautiful blend. He is constantly making artistic decisions, and these serve to add an additional layer of meaning. You are seeing more than a photo, more than a snapshot could ever convey. You are seeing an entire scene through a painting. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts and comments about it. Bye.